Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasdy, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horror. This is our new podcast. It's kind of a spin-off from our original podcast, Conversations in Horror. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I've also got some amazing people that will be joining me on this new podcast as we delve deep into the films from the Hammer Studio days. Now, that can include the original older movies from the 60s and 70s. It can also include some of the films that are much more recent, because Hammer Studios is still around in a version that doesn't produce movies nearly as often as the old days. But we're going to focus on the old days, especially in our very first episode for this podcast, as we talk about the Horror of Dracula from 1958. Get that right? 58?
Yeah,
58.
Right.
That's right. You're right.
But you know, I have a DVD that says 57 on it, so I had to double check it.
It's interesting because in Great Britain, they filmed it in 1957. And it actually premiered here a few months before the end of 1957, and didn't premiere in UK until 1958. So
yeah, that's probably.
I don't know how we got the early release. I never could. Over the years, I never could.
It's like
find
the edited release too.
Explanation on it. Yeah, right. It's not. It's the longer version came out in Great Britain. So
the voices you are hearing on this podcast will be familiar to any of you who have been listening to our original podcast.
Oh, really?
The horror. That would be Dave Watkins and Jim Adams. I want to thank them for joining us on this inaugural episode for the new show. We hope that you will enjoy this different foray into the Hammer Studio Horrors. This was something, a special project for me. I'm not a huge Hammer Studios fan, but I can appreciate what those films brought to the horror genre when they were made. A lot of the ones that we'll be talking about over the course of the next couple of years will be, we're going to try and get to all of them, so it's going to take a couple of years, y'all. The impact that these films had on the horror genre is unimaginable, which is why I think that separating them from the rest of the stuff that we talk about on our original podcast is something we have to do. And so why not start it off then with one of the most iconic horror icons, which is Dracula. And in this film, he's played by Christopher Lee, and the amazing Peter Cushing is doing Van Helsing. So I'm going to be kind of relying on you two people who like Hammer and want to delve deep into this film. So I know you're eager to talk about it, Jim. So let us know a little bit about what your thoughts and impressions were of this film.
You bailed yourself out good there, because for a minute you were walking on real thin ice there. But I'm not a fan of Hammer. No. No, I'm an old, as people know, I'm an old monster kid from the 60s, and I grew up on the Shock Theater package and the Son of Shock package that went out to local television stations when I got to learn to watch monster movies and things. So I grew up on all the Universal stuff, loved that stuff. And Hammer started making, well, actually, some early Hammer did make it into my realm in the early 60s. Mm-hmm. Things like the Quatermass Experiment, those two films, and X the Unknown, which was actually a Quatermass film, but they couldn't call it that. Stuff like that. But then I guess I was almost junior high age, around maybe right in junior high, when I saw Horror of Dracula. It was the first of the color Hammer films that I was exposed to,
It's the
and
first
and
color
this,
vampire movie ever made.
yeah, and it blew my mind the first time, and I became a Hammer fanatic after that. I became a fanatic of anything Peter Cushing was in. I loved Christopher Lee's portrayal of Dracula, and I have sucked up Hammer ever since. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of the newer ones you're talking about, but these old ones, oh man, they're just gold. They're absolute gold to me. This is the royalty of horror from the 60s and 70s.
All right, and what about you, Dave?
So, I mean, I don't have that awesome of an experience with it.
Well, then you can go
Yeah.
home right now. No.
No. I mean, I saw them when I was younger. I remember them being on like different ones, and I think the one that kind of sticks in my mind the most is like the Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. I remember seeing that
Great
open
movie.
into that when I was pretty young, and it kind of scared me, you know.
Good movie.
But yeah, but this one and most of the Dracula films, I don't. I don't know when the first time I saw this one was. It's maybe like 10 or 15 years ago,
Oh,
I would
wow.
think. But I like Dracula in general. You know,
Because they were under some real heavy budgetary constraints. You know, they only had 80,000 pounds that they were
yeah,
shooting on. And I remember reading some things by Jimmy Sangster. He was writing about the challenge of compressing this story into this movie, and this
right,
movie that's not even an hour and a half long. It's only an hour and 80 or hour and 20 minutes.
yeah.
And man, he did an incredible job with that because I love the book. That was one of my favorite
Yeah.
books growing up, and there was so much he had to compress characters together and cut some all the way
Oh
out.
yeah.
And of course, it doesn't take place in Transylvania.
Yeah.
It basically takes place. They've sort of figured, okay, it's probably like this, like German country or something. I mean, it's all
You're
in
right.
one country because they got to chase Dracula back and forth on carriages.
Yeah.
But
It makes it a little
man,
simpler. It makes
yeah, it was a
everything a
lot
little
of fun to
simpler.
follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Christopher Lee. It's odd though because this is like I've seen all of them, but he doesn't hardly talk in any of them. He probably
No.
talks more in this one in the first 10 minutes than any of the others, and then he doesn't say a word for the
Yeah.
rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I mean, I actually like him talking, but that's weird the way they went that route, not having him talk most of the time. Like I guess they figured it would be more scary. But I think about like Dark Shadows, for instance, when the vampire like talks a lot.
Oh yeah, Barnabas was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
talker.
yeah, yeah. I think I love that show, but it's
I do too. Yeah.
yeah, but it's it kind of reminds me a little bit of that, but it's yeah, I guess I mean I don't hate it that he doesn't talk, but I think it's like Christopher Lee was he's such an incredible voice, he's such an incredible actor that I would have liked to have him have more scenes. He's probably only in the movie like this movie like 10 minutes for the whole thing approximately, but
Just about, yeah. And he only had
yeah,
12 lines, and then
yeah,
Really, that's it?
he
yeah,
didn't want to do it anymore. That's why we'll get into this when we do Brides of Dracula. You don't even see Dracula in that movie at all,
yeah, right.
because they couldn't get Christopher Lee, so they had to rewrite that movie a little bit differently. But then
Yeah.
he did come back. He did finally come back and portray him a couple
He
more
kept
times.
coming back a bunch
Yeah,
of
all the way into the
times.
70s.
Yeah, it's like but almost every movie though. It's like he's in it maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and he,
Yeah, yeah.
after this one, I think he gets top billing after this one for almost all of them. And
He does. Yep, he sure does.
yeah, but he's great though. He does such a great Dracula.
He
I think
really
yeah,
does.
a lot of people they consider him their Dracula. I think they do consider that. I'm kind of I'm probably more Bela Lugosi, or I do like Gary Oldman's as well. But
Yeah, it's interesting because Bela Lugosi was the first one I saw, was the
yeah,
first Dracula I saw, and I always have a very warm place in my heart for him. And I've been a Bela fan all my life, and I liked all of his movies, even the bad
yeah,
ones.
yeah,
So it was never a question of who was better. It was just like Christopher Lee was different, and I liked the
yeah,
difference in the approach that they took with this one. I disagreed with a couple of things that I've read where they said, they said Terrence Fisher tried to bring more of a sexual
yeah,
approach to this, which they did. But not
So,
like in
not
the way,
extreme,
not
yeah.
not like in the way that Twilight does it. Because people that know me know that I can't stand the Twilight
yeah.
saga, because that's basically Beverly Hills 90210, teenagers having angst and teeth at the same time.
Yeah, I think I only watched the
that never
first of
worked.
those.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched the first one and said,
yeah,
no, that ain't for
yeah.
me.
What-
But the idea of when Dracula bites somebody, bites a woman in this film, you see that combination of fear and ecstasy all at the same time, and almost, I mean, and the characters, I think a lot of this is the direction. I think Terrence Fisher gets this out of
yeah.
the female actors, where they have this layered emotion that, yeah, initial fear, but also lust, and then ecstasy, and I mean, you see a variety of, just in the looks on their face when they're getting bit. And that was very unique. I mean, I was a hormone driven teenage kid when I first saw Hammer films. It was like, man, I'm sort of liking this for some reason. Yeah, I like what they're doing here. So, and that was sort of an element that carried through in a lot of these Hammer films.
Well, Terrence Fisher did a lot of films for Hammer.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was the man. Yeah.
And Terrence Fisher was my way into Hammer.
Yeah.
I ended up watching a lot of his films for college, but didn't watch any Dracula movies. I didn't watch those till much later, and I didn't watch any of the Dracula movies in order. So my perspective on the Dracula franchise, as Hammer Studio puts it, is really skewed because I did not watch them at all in
Do you remember the first one that you saw from Hammer? That was the first Dracula?
I don't, because I didn't grow up with the Hammer films. I wish I wish I had. I did not grow up with the Bela Lugosi Hammer, the
Universal,
Universal movies, and so I didn't have that connection with those. I had to make sure I had the right name for it, but I ended up growing up with the Louis Jourdan version of Dracula.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
so that's the one I grew up watching the most, and even the Frank Langella one, I grew up watching that one.
Oh, I liked his. Yeah, I definitely liked that approach.
His hair looks pretty hilarious though in that.
I haven't seen that one in a long time. The Louis Jourdan one I own, so I've seen that one several times.
I haven't. It's probably been 20 some years since I've seen that one, but I remember really being pleased with, and I like the Jack Palance version that he made for
Dan
TV.
Curtis
By
did that one.
Dan Curtis one. Yeah, that was actually pretty interesting. I enjoyed that one.
The thing about this film and the rest of the films in this franchise, the thing that brought me into it is really Peter Cushing. I liked Peter Cushing before seeing these movies. I loved Peter Cushing after seeing these and the Frankenstein movies. And he was my way into this because everybody knows who Peter Cushing. Well, if you don't know Peter Cushing, I'm kicking your ass because he was in the original Star Wars.
That's right. He was in the first Star Wars. That's right. He played a bad guy. One of the few times he played a bad guy.
But he has been in so many different films before he passing. So many. And a lot of them were with Hammer, but a lot of them were not with Hammer. But he
even played Doctor Who at one time.
Played twice in two movies actually,
or twice. Yeah, it was twice in the movie. That's right. I forgot about the second one.
Yeah, it's very, very like different take on Doctor Who though. He's actually a human in that one. It's kind of like I think I saw that before seeing any real Doctor Who stuff, and I thought that was Doctor Who, and I was like, when I saw the real Doctor Who, I was like, wow, that's like a lot better,
Yeah.
Jesus, we're not even going to get to Doctor Who yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, that's down the road here.
But, without Peter Cushing, I would have never really grabbed onto Christopher Lee because I never paid any attention to Christopher Lee until he did the Lord of the Rings films, to be honest with you. I hadn't seen enough of his films to really grab hold of what he did. Peter Cushing, I had seen a ton of his stuff. I have a greater appreciation of Christopher Lee now because I've seen a ton of Christopher Lee movies now. I've seen a ton. I have been searching out the films of his that I have not seen because he, like Peter Cushing, has this presence in their performances. Christopher Lee brings it when you like you guys said, when he doesn't even have to speak.
He doesn't. He kind of like the Mummy too. He's like in that one. So it's
And so I mean, when I rewatched this film, this one, I had forgotten how much I enjoyed it. Even though I'm familiar with the story, but this one takes some little different turns and twists some things around. It makes it much more interesting. I mean, even the concept of having what's it Dracula and Harker, not Dracula, but Van Helsing and Harker had this plan already in place.
Yeah, that's one of the times they had to sort of make some changes to the script. To the
but they changed Harker a lot.
Quite a bit,
because he comes in acting like he's a librarian, which by itself, because he's always been kind of the real estate person.
He's been a real estate guy.
Yeah, right? But he comes in and it's like, where are they going with this? You hire, but also on top of that, Dracula's castle looks different than in any other movie in this one. It doesn't look decrepit or scary or anything.
Or high, because you know in the book, when Van Helsing tried to climb out the window like he does in the movie, we're talking like maybe 100 feet off the ground, you know, and here it's almost like he could have almost jumped out of the window and not hurt himself.
But it does look unique on the outside of it. I mean, the inside's very unique. Like the set design's very unique, but it was like, but most of the time when you get into that part of Dracula, it's like it's almost like it's scary right away. But here it's like it feels a little more inviting, and even like Dracula acts a lot nicer than normally when he first comes out until he doesn't all of a sudden.
Until he has to deal with his bride who's hungry, so to speak.
Well, which I found kind of weird with the vampire female who just wants Harker to take her away from this castle. It's dangerous and all that type of stuff. But you kind of think, is she a willing bride or an unwilling bride? Is she just trying to get away from Dracula? What are your
really don't know.
You don't know?
It's
unclear. I think she says it just to draw her prey in.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't know. That's the cool part about it. That Valerie Gaunt, who's in a ton of Hammer films. She'll have a big role in the Curse of Frankenstein, which comes out later that year.
Yeah.
But it's even like when it follows Jonathan Harker for like the first 20 minutes of the film, and it's almost like he's the main character seemingly. And it's pretty good performance by the guy, but what's his name?
John Van Eason.
Van Eason. But it seems like he's the main character, as it's going, and if you're aware of the character Jonathan Harker, you're like, where are they going with this? Because it's not the same, you know. And so kind of. But and as he starts to reveal that he like, that's one thing, because he is already aware of what's going on, it makes it make a lot more sense. Once you know that he's already aware of everything, it makes a lot more sense. But before that, I think it just from seeing the other versions, it was very, very confused as to what was going on, or I thought maybe it was badly written or badly directed until that was revealed.
He just pretends to be a librarian that Count Dracula is hired to chart all of his library or whatever.
But I don't know if they're fooled by it at all. I don't know if they are, but
I think initially Dracula probably doesn't see it, but he's probably suspicious. I mean, the man's 500 years old or so, and been around the block a few times, so he's probably always going to be a little suspicious. That's why he locks him in when it's daytime.
Yeah, you don't want him out, man.
No.
Well,
but just the way,
Dracula's victim eventually, and of course the vampire woman gets to him first, so he gets pretty pissed off.
That's a great scene.
He has those red contact lenses when he gets really pissed off. It looks,
But this is very different in the fact that after Harker is more or less disposed of, it more or less follows Van Helsing for the rest of the movie, because in this one, which I do like, when I rewatched it again, I actually like that it follows, and this is probably why I liked it so much, because of Peter Cushing, and they follow his character for the most part, the Lucy character, the Mina character, and the
Arthur
Holmgren.
But the Arthur character was originally one of the three suitors, so it doesn't have a Quincy character, but it has the Dr. Seward character, but he's just an old doctor, and it only shows him a couple.
Yeah, it doesn't have the sanitarium or any of that stuff.
There's no real suitors in this one,
No, not at all. I mean, he's already engaged to.
I mean, they're already married.
It's almost like that.
Mina's
Arthur,
married,
the Arthur character takes over Jonathan Harker's part, I think, a lot in the movie.
Yeah.
And then also it switches well, I guess Lucy still plays the same because really Mina was with Jonathan Harker, but
Yeah.
she's Arthur's wife here, and then
Right, right.
Lucy kind of does the same, serves the same purpose, even though she was, I guess, married or supposed to be with Jonathan Harker.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, in this
Yeah.
movie, yeah, Lucy is supposed to be
With Jonathan
Harker's fiance,
Fiance, yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and Mina is Arthur Holmgren's
Which is something
wife.
very similar to, I believe, what they did in Nosferatu too.
They have like
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But Lucy's actually Arthur's sister in this one too, so she has the same last name.
Right, that's where they compress some people together because
Yeah.
in the stage play, Lucy and Mina are reversed. And
Oh, are they? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's like it depends on what adaptations you read, I guess.
Yeah.
Of what you get there.
And I'm bad to say that I read the book when I was a little kid. I don't remember the details anymore because I've watched so many versions of it, and every version since is one that changed relationships with kids.
Oh, they're all different. Yeah.
The one that Bram Stoker's Dracula is pretty close to the book, the Francis Ford Coppola one.
It is.
Yeah, they do most of the characters in the right way that they're written.
It's my least favorite movie out of all of them, out of all the adaptations. And I'm a big Coppola fan, but I just don't like that one. But it does keep them pretty on track with what the book wrote.
Except for the reference to Vlad Tepes. That was all made up shit.
Yeah. They added some shit to it.
They
added that opening stuff.
That was just that was for promotion's sake, I think, or whatever it was.
So he wears like the Twizzler suit at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So,
Twizzler suit.
Oh, don't get me on the costuming in that movie.
Oh my God. Hilarious. Dude.
I actually like that movie though. I know a lot of people don't, but I've always liked
I love the movie. Yeah. I just don't like.
I can still make fun of.
I'm a huge Van Helsing fan, and I hated Van Helsing in that movie, but I love Van Helsing in the Hammer films.
You're the only other person who hated Anthony Hopkins as Van Helsing.
I did not like his approach to it at all, and I know it wasn't Anthony Hopkins; it's the way he was directed.
Yeah,
I just because Hopkins is too good. I mean, he's a terrific actor, but I hated the way he played it.
We will talk later about.
But then when we bring that movie up, I'll give that one a pass. But no,
but getting back to the Hammer,
but I love Cushing as Van Helsing because he brings that. I don't want to say obsession, but we've talked about this a little bit. Even though we've never done a Frankenstein movie together, we're going to do some here in a few weeks. But I always loved Van Helsing. I mean, I loved Peter Cushing's approach to Dr. Frankenstein because he was such obsessed with his mission. Yeah. And he brings that same element to Van Helsing, which, and it's no offense to Edward Van Sloan, who I loved in the Bela Lugosi Dracula, but he took a different approach to it, a more scholarly approach. And Van Helsing is, man, he's just fired up to end this cult, and it sees the danger that it poses to the world, and he's on a mission from God almost.
Yeah.
To do away with them.
He's kind of got that same, with not the same, but the way that people react to him at first, he's like the way that they react to Frankenstein because they don't want anything to do with it, like Arthur character, until he finds out more. But it's almost like it would almost be a good thing they tells him to leave several times, but once it's like something you don't want to know, but once you know it, you have to pursue it.
You can't unknow it.
Yeah, you can't unknow it. So it's like almost like they feel that. Even like the first time you see Van Helsing in this film, he walks into a bar and no one in the bar except for like the waitress wants anything to do with him. They want him to go ahead and get his food, eat it, and get out, which is a cool entrance too. And
it is. Yeah.
I always like seeing bars like that in the German-looking bars in these type of films. It's always nice to see it.
It reminds you of American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
Oh, a whole lot. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But anytime anybody walks into an old bar like that,
I got to think John Landis had to be influenced by some of these Hammer films because you'll see that again in some of the future Hammer films.
Yeah, they can do it a little bit. They do it in the Universal ones too, in some of them.
A little bit,
some bars.
The people are scared of the local vampire, and they don't want to risk. They don't know who these people are that are showing up.
Yeah, but that's a great. And then even like the way he's introduced, he comes off camera and it follows him, and then he turns and you see him for the first time. It's like 20 something minutes into it. I think like 22 or 23 minutes into the film, and it's the first time you see him.
Person, yeah.
But he has more screen time than anybody else ultimately. But
Right.
Dracula.
Well, The thing is, when I watch this, I always see it as like we were discussing the main characters. It starts off with Harker, and for me, it switches over to Van Helsing. And most the other characters not nearly as interesting as Van Helsing and his obsession with Dracula.
Yeah.
But he's obsessed, but he's not obsessed because he's allowing the Mina and Arthur character to go through their whole I don't want to say plot, but their whole feelings about what's happening to not only what happened to Harker, because he doesn't tell them everything that happens to him.
Yeah.
He just tells them certain things that won't be against them.
Well, he knows better. I mean, he knows that he just can't come out with all of it right in the beginning, or they would have had him locked up in a sanitarium or something.
He's the opposite of Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins was vampires. We must defeat the vampires.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
But he's like, vampires do exist or something like that. But
this, no, I mean, you don't even see these people. I mean, Michael Goff, who plays Arthur Holmgood, does a great job with the look on his face when. It's one of my favorite scenes where he's out there by the tomb and Van Helsing shows up and the little girl has been skirted away by her dead aunt, who is now a vampire.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he realizes, holy shit, this guy was right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
right.
That epiphany he has is like, okay, you're okay. You're okay. Oh my God.
Yeah. He's all in after that.
Yeah.
But one thing that gets me, that they make a big mistake, the characters do, those two guys, is that they don't pay attention to the wife and what happens to her. And it's almost like there's so much. I mean, you would think that it's almost like I guess maybe a polite thing that he's not paying that much attention to the wife, but you think Van Helsing would be very suspicious when they walk in and she's sitting there acting weird and got her neck all covered up, and But
and she's been out all night.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know that. She says she just went out for an early walk. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
because we're chasing a vampire at night, and all of a sudden she happens to be out at night and shows up in the early morning. It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
But it was like, there's two things with that. Another thing was like when they go out there to begin with, you think that it would almost be like they'd be more careful about leaving her by herself when they all left. And really, they should have taken her with them.
They left her with what's her name, Gerda.
Yeah,
who's like totally worthless. I mean, totally worthless
she
when
is
it comes
worthless.
to protect. I mean, it's like, oh well, the garlic smelled bad, so I moved it because she didn't like it, and you can see Cushing like going, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah. Too is like there when that time, like he should have stayed. The Van Helsing character should have stayed that night too. But the plot has to happen. But that's like the sort of thing. If he, at the same time he is kind of, I guess, a little new to it, and he has some politeness going on where he wants to give the guy and his wife some privacy, and he's almost like this isn't any of my business, but he's not. It is his business at the same time that he's not putting it together quite yet.
Yeah, and plus the fact they didn't realize, when they were guarding the house from the outside, and he still got in. It never occurred to him that maybe he was already in the house to begin with.
Right. What was like guarding the house from the outside? They should have been in the room with her.
Well, I think they make mention that they don't believe that he could change.
No! In this movie, it's the only movie I think where vampires don't turn into anything.
Yeah. So
because they will do that in the next movies.
But they don't know that for a fact. They actually make some comments like say they don't think.
Because you see the look on Van Helsing's face when Holmgood goes, "How did he get in? Maybe they can change into something," and he's like, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I mean, the maid slips up like twice. Once when she gets rid of the flowers and the garlic, and then when she slips up, in the basement where
I'm not allowed to go there anymore.
Yeah, and it's like such a suicidal move by Dracula to begin with to come into their basement and not kill the guys. I mean, it's like kill them. or not be in the house when they're at. They're out to get him, and then he's going to be in their
I
basement.
guess he figures it's the last place they would ever look, and as it turned out, he was right.
You know,
Well, he was right until he wasn't, though. because
Until he
that's what-
wasn't, yeah, right.
you know what, guy? We're picking on the movie now, but if in the 50s, 56, when this movie was made, that was like, oh my God, he's in the house.
Oh, I know. No, that was a great hook. I never
was
saw
like,
it coming.
oh.
I never saw it coming.
Yeah.
You're right.
No one saw that coming.
Yeah, when they go chase him to the
funeral home
undertakers
place.
and in the next town over or whatever, and it's gone. The guy said,
Right.
"Oh, well, it was here today. I don't know
Yeah.
what happened." You know, and you know, it's like, I'm thinking the same thing as a kid. It's like, oh my God, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Well, it's weird too, though, that's another reason why they don't notice the wife, because they find that lead to the Undertaker place, and they're obsessed with that. And
Yeah.
like he's just thinking, I got to get over to there and go check that out. So that kind of gives him a little bit of excuse not to notice the wife, because he does get that obsession, kind of like one track thing. Like, we're going to go over there and see what's going on.
I was sort of
With
waiting
that.
for Gerda when they got back from there, and he says, "Where is she?" You know, it's early in the
Yeah.
morning, and
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it had anything to do with that kid that came by with the message.
Yeah. And then her falling for that message too. The kid comes
Oh, my
in the
God,
middle of the
yeah.
night. Yeah, so that's a very suspicious thing.
Yeah.
You might just go out there by yourself and go to
Well,
a
I
funeral
think
home.
I almost think, and again, I may be reading more into this. I think the type of Dracula that Fisher wanted, and the way Lee plays it, is he has this sort of hypnotic effect on women, even from a distance.
Okay, yeah, that makes
And it was
sense.
almost like he was calling to her.
Yeah,
I mean, they
Yeah,
hadn't really physically met, but in a sense, they had through Lucy. That he might have had an influence, able to influence her because he'd been the one that converted Lucy. Or I don't know, just
yeah. No, that's a good point, and that's really like if you watch like Dark Shadows, that's what that happens in there. He stands outside the window, and he even Bela Lugosi does that too.
Right.
But you don't see him necessarily doing it in this one. But
Well, he does with Lucy, but not with Mina.
yeah, he's probably doing
Because you got those great scenes where after they went through the first attack, and then they gave her and they cleared out all the garlic and stuff, and she goes to the window and then lays down in the bed and waiting, and she's not waiting for Jonathan, that's for sure.
Well, it's interesting that Dracula in this film, we never see the first time he bites either one of the women.
No,
So they're already enthralled, one of his enthralled people before we even realize it, which is interesting because we don't see that initial seduction. He's already seduced.
No, we don't.
So very well could be that from a distance he's already been like we get to see. That's one thing I loved about the movie, but it's also the same thing I hated, because I don't get a sense of why he was so obsessed with the Lucy character to begin with.
We saw the picture.
Yeah, but the picture, in other Dracula movies, usually we get a sense of what it means, why it means so much. This one, he just sees the picture.
I think of Dracula in this anyway as being very lonely.
Well,
I mean, he's got the one bride, and he could probably go get some more women out of the village. But I mean, and then he sees this picture of Lucy, and he's like, whoa, and she is a babe, and he's like, oh wow, you were a very lucky man, and all that. And from then on, he's headed to wherever she is, and she is going to be his.
I think that's the weakest element there, because he's Dracula. He can have any woman in the village. He can have the barkeep who actually knows about.
Yeah, but no, he can, but you don't. I mean, but they're prey, so it's not satisfying. I mean, I think that's the curse of the vampirism, is that
I think
they're
it's
strictly there for food until they convert, and then he's got to go get somebody else.
I feel there's just like a suicidal thing with him too. He
That
goes
could
after
be.
something that's puts him. It happens in really all versions of Dracula. Like, he can stay there in Transylvania and live indefinitely. It's not until he leaves and he goes after more than what he already has that he gets himself in a situation where they're able to kill him.
That's true. They always put themselves at risk. Yeah, you're right.
This could be one of the elements I liked about Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola one, because we have a sense of why he goes after Mina. I think that because that's an element I liked from that film, and it's kind of that it just lost in this film. And so I always have this question of why the hell he would actually go after.
Oh, wait a minute. I can answer your question. It's more than just looking at the picture, because he does discover that Harker was after him. Harker was actually trying to destroy him, and now it's revenge. You know, Harker tried to get him, so okay, I'm going to take what you love.
Does Harker ever mention that?
No, but he figures it out. I mean, because
Dracula figures it out.
Yeah, the journal's there.
Well, he doesn't have the journal.
He doesn't have the journal.
How the waitress has the journal.
The waitress has it. You're right. The waitress.
I don't think a waitress is the right term for what she does.
Or what? Well, the innkeeper's daughter.
Yeah, but she has it. I don't know how she got it, but some reason he gave it to her.
At the crossroads in that tree.
That's right. I forgot about the tree. Yeah. But I just had a feeling that he figured it out. That well, no, he figured it out because Harker staked his bride, and then he woke up and was like, "Uh-oh, I'm next. I better take care of this guy."
Well, he does.
It becomes obvious that he was not there just as a librarian. He had other motives.
Right.
Why else would he be walking around with a thing of
we're probably putting more into this movie than it actually is.
No, but I think there's a revenge. They mentioned,
Well, he kills the bride too. He kills her. He kills his bride.
Van Helsing talks about a revenge type factor.
Yeah. But even if he doesn't know that he's a vampire hunter, he still killed his bride, and he needs another bride after that.
Oh yeah, he's got to kill him. Yeah.
Well, but like but he could get anyone to be his bride. Wherever. The thing is, the distance between where his castle is and wherever Mina is, he has to travel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but not as far as he had to in the book.
He don't have he don't seem to like if he needed like a Renfield character to help him, I think he would have been more successful. Like somebody to help him during the
he needed like a human acolyte or whatever they call them, the ones that can be up during the daytime and all that.
I think this is one of those films where
which he will have in the second one in the sequel.
Well, yeah, because there's no book to follow with the rest of the movies, but I think
no.
I think they assume that so many people have read the book that they could skip over some of these details because you're just going to go with it.
I do, yeah.
That's what I did. Yeah.
I do want to throw out another little nitpick, but just when he goes, obviously this is another because of the plot, but he goes in there to kill the vampires, and why does he wait until right when the sun's about to come down?
Oh, I know. That's always always been a problem with me on any vampire. Even Count Yorga was bad about that one too. The guy was Roger Perry both times in those movies was so stupid. He'd wait until it's only an hour before sunset, but we can do this.
Yeah, he got to kill two vampires, and he picks the girl to kill first.
And that's that has always killed me in this. And I'm not criticizing the movie, but it's like, dude. Why didn't you kill the big guy first?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chances are she might go when he goes. You don't know.
Worst case scenario, he promised he would take her and save her.
That's right.
He felt sympathy for her, so he killed her first. And
it takes him so long. I don't know what time he went in there. It could have taken him 5 hours to stake her.
He said. I mean, there's a narrative going on where by the time he gets out the window and stuff, it's like I don't have much time. That's when he stashes the journal. I'd forgotten about him stashing the journal.
Then. He could have lived though. Instead, if he hadn't go stash the journal, he could have just went in there and killed them both. But he had to spend that extra time to go stash this journal.
Well, I think for his benefit, I think he thought that since he was already bitten, that he didn't have much time to live anyways.
Well, no, he does say that. He says that I'm going to kill him while I've got my wits about me or my senses about me.
So I can go with that. But yeah, you're right. I think this movie relies on people, the audience, having already seen or read a version of Dracula at some point.
Oh, I think so. Or at least familiar with the legends that the movies have put forward in the past.
Whereas something like Bram Stoker's Dracula, you don't have to have ever read the book or seen a version before that one. Because they spell everything out.
I think the changes in this one make it really interesting when you're watching it because you're not expecting it, and you're what's going on with Jonathan Harker he's not acting like he should be, and then all of a sudden it's
Right.
because he's actually in. He already knows there's vampires there.
Because he's
I
a
think that's-
vampire
Yeah.
hunter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the greatest aspect to the story of this film is the fact that Van Helsing and Harker already know that there are vampires.
Oh,
And
I like that twist.
Yeah.
I
You don't,
like that.
there's no like reveal of they have to figure it out and figure out what to do. They already know what to do.
They already know, and so
Yeah.
their journey is so much different than every other version of the Dracula story. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
a compelling film, especially when you have Peter Cushing as Van Helsing.
Yeah.
Wish other people would take that story aspect if they do another version of Dracula. Everyone does. They're like every other year there's a version of Dracula being made, and I've seen the original story in some form or another done so much that this still holds a candle because it did something so different than
Yeah.
Yeah.
It had some twists and turns to it. Yeah.
And they made Van Helsing younger than normally too, so it has some legs going forward with it.
That was Peter Cushing. Yeah, he didn't want to play him old. He told Fisher he didn't want to play him like an old decrepit man, or where they were going to make him all up, make him like the book.
Yeah.
That's good.
He said, "No, I don't want to do that. I want to be a younger guy."
Oh,
It
see,
made
He
it
does
a
all
lot
of his
better,
own.
yeah.
He does a lot of his own stunts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Made it a lot better though that they
Oh,
went
I think
that route.
I love that part of it.
Yeah.
you mentioning his stunts, of course, we had that last great battle sequence at the end between him and Dracula, which I fucking love.
Unforgettable, man. It's so great.
I had forgotten how much I love that.
It was so much fun.
And seeing Peter Cushing like just jump from one place to another and get thrown around. I mean, dude, Peter Cushing,
Yeah.
he was like, I would say he I guess back in those days, a lot of the Hammer Studio mainstays had to do their own stunts because they didn't have many as stunts.
Well, they didn't want him to do it. He was 40 years old, and when he like jumped over that terrace and or whatever, and then jumped the table and all that stuff, he said, "No, I can do it. I'll do it." And they sort of held their breath. They're waiting for something to happen.
They did.
He was in
I
great
know.
shape. He was in great shape.
Yeah.
So,
Makes it a lot more believable.
oh no,
Right. Yeah. It's great. It's a great fight though between those two, and
It is.
Van Helsing
It's a
about
classic.
he about gets killed too. That's like something too where I don't know. It's hard to tell how strong Dracula really is in some of these instances because some movies he's so powerful,
Yeah, he's supposed to be superhuman in
Yeah.
some respects. Yeah.
but he's got
I
his
think
hands
Cushing
around
just
his
catches.
throat.
I mean, I think Van Helsing just catches him off guard, and so it's more of a leverage thing, not maybe
Right.
Because I kept thinking, there's no way he's going to get out of this.
Yeah.
This guy is just too powerful.
Right.
he uses his brains in one of the very few instances in the
Brains over brawn. Yeah.
where he reveals the sun, but the sunlight from the window only takes off his foot first. I think it's his foot first.
Yeah, the way it shines down, he's got to angle him in with the figure of the cross.
It's so amazing because it just
Yeah.
takes his foot first, and we see
Yep.
it go to ash, and then it takes his hand, and then we
Right.
see it go to ash.
Little by little, he
Yeah,
falls
dude.
into the sunlight.
We're so used nowadays that sunlight catches him on his pinky, bursts into flames.
Yeah.
CGI flames everywhere. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it makes more sense that it would take a piece at a time, and plus,
It does.
he picks up the two candlesticks and makes
Right,
his own
makes
cross.
the cross. Yeah.
Which
he's-
is so brilliant. So
And
brilliant.
and the character's like so strong with his faith that there's no question of Van Helsing's faith at that
Oh,
point.
that's right. Yeah.
So, it's-
No,
Yeah,
still,
because there's some movies where characters try to do that, and the vampire just says, "Yeah, screw you," and
yeah,
just grabs them. Because that's the whole thing behind it. You got to have the faith behind it to make
Yeah.
it work.
have to have faith for that to work on me.
Yeah, that's right. A great scene in whatchamacallit, Salem's Lot,
Salem's Lot too.
where the guy holds up a wooden cross and he just looks at it and it bursts into flames. He goes, "Yeah, right."
yeah, it's just, yeah.
Oh Jesus. I had something I was going to say, but now I can't remember what it was. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
that sucks when that happens.
It does because we're talking. Our first episodes for Hammer Studio Horrors, and we're talking about like
Well, we were talking about the acrobatics of Van Helsing. Maybe
the
it had something to do
acrobatics
with that.
of Van Helsing in this film, and the great thing about Peter Cushing in not just this film, but as he progresses in these films and the Frankenstein films parallel to this franchise, you get to see how really dynamic he is as not only an actor in each character that he does, and they're completely different from one another. Van Helsing is completely different than Baron Frankenstein.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The one thing I like is about his Van Helsing's, and we'll talk about this in the other films that he plays Van Helsing in. He does things in these movies that if any other actor did them, they would seem goofy or cheesy, or ever, like when he's getting strangled and his tongue comes out, or in one movie he's got like, he sells it all the time. He sells his stuff so well. It's like, oh yeah, I believe that. I totally believe that. And that's amazing what he does with this stuff.
His wardrobe's really awesome too. Like,
yes, I love the wardrobe. Yeah,
it's a coat and all that.
They dressed pretty well in 1885.
Yeah.
Well, Van Helsing did for a doctor or a professor or whatever. Actually, I'm not sure 100% what he.
Well, as it turns, I mean, in Hammer, he turns out to be a doctor of a lot of different. I mean, he's a professor.
Pseudoscience or something.
He's a blood expert or whatever.
He does do a blood transfusion.
But also he's a doctor of philosophy and other things.
Yeah, but he has like instant access to a blood transfusion kit.
So he is a medical doctor.
Which that actually worked out pretty good for the characters in the film when that happened too. So
well, back then they didn't know about, I guess, blood types, so it didn't matter. It's like,
that's right.
We might, if they showed what happened two weeks later, she just might fall down dead or something.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it must have been the blood.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. But
oh my God.
I thought about that as a kid, but I thought, I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah. Maybe they tested it in between. I don't know. Maybe when did they start figuring out about
I don't know.
blood
I don't know
types,
when they started typing blood. I can't. In all honesty, can't remember when that sort of came around.
I couldn't.
We didn't have fingerprints back in 1885, or we had them, but they didn't use them until the turn of the century. So
come on, they were doing fingerprint analysis in like Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah. No. If you look at the movie House of Wax, actually addresses it, where you've got a detective and he's trying to convince his superiors that there's something to fingerprints. They go, that's crazy. We can't take that into court. It's terrible. And that was supposed to be right around the turn of the century. So
So, guys, this being the first episode in the Hammer's Dracula film series, and for all of you who don't know, this originally in the UK was just released as Dracula, but in world territories it was changed to Horror of Dracula. They were
afraid it would get confused because the Bela Lugosi Dracula was still running in theaters.
I was thinking, like, this film too, though, was like some of the Universal horror films were still coming out around the same time. It was near the end of Universal's run, but the last Universal film was the Leech Woman in 1960, so it was like 2 years before the last Universal horror film. Yeah,
I mean, at this point, Universal was doing a lot more of the big bug stuff than the horror stuff. They got into that, but they had re-released Bela Lugosi's Dracula, and it was touring theaters again, and they were afraid that if they ran them both, that there would be confusion. People might go to a theater expecting to see the Bela Lugosi one, and it would be the Hammer one, and so they said, we'll just change the name so that everyone knows the difference.
So, Jim, did you ever see the uncut version of this, like the British one?
I did years ago. It's not a whole lot different, but it's got a few added. Some of the violence is there's a little bit more blood in the staking scenes, and I think that was basically surrounding the two staking scenes.
Yeah, I was reading about it. I'd never seen that one, but it does say that like the seduction scene is longer.
That one is, they really do concentrate the camera work on the face and the woman's expression as she's getting bit. They stretch out the bite a little bit, so you can almost see that look of ecstasy and fear and stuff that I was mentioning. That's very prevalent in the British one. I guess the American censors thought maybe it was just a bit too much.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, this was during that Hays Code era too.
That's right. Yeah, it was just
But
crazy back then.
the British had a different code than the U.S. did. It was strict, but it wasn't as strict.
Yeah, well, I mean, the ironic thing was they always tended to cut blood in the UK, but the sex stuff, fine, no problem. They could be stark naked and they wouldn't care.
Yeah,
but in
yeah,
the
it's all
United
good,
States,
yeah.
it was like, nah, you can show as much blood as you want, but boy, if you get into that sex stuff, we're going to cut it. You know,
Yeah.
it's really weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
But yeah, I mean, that was the only difference. I mean, it's not real noticeable. I mean, because the first time I saw the film, like on TV, it was all the trimmed up stuff. So I didn't see the full British one until I was in college, and I think we booked it in on one of the college film series that we'd have every weekend, and that one was the uncut version. We thought this is going to be really cool. It's uncut, and then it was like, yeah, okay, I see what they did here.
I guess you got to kind of lower your expectations a little bit. It's not like seeing something uncut now that was shot like 5 years ago or whatever. It's not going to, because then it's going to be like really graphic. But it's
yeah.
But I feel like it could use a little extra length. And
I like the British version. Yeah, I thought it made Dracula a little more powerful, and it did bring some depth to the two females in this. That
hopefully
there's definitely a sexuality about the character. I don't know if Bram Stoker ever really. I'm trying to think if I ever really felt that in the book, but I think it seemed to be some in that. I might have been influenced by the films more, but
even in the first movie with Bela Lugosi in it, I think the Mina character is acting really.
Yeah, there's some seduction.
It's not as blatant, but she does, like, you can tell that she's
that first attack with her. Yeah, definitely there where she's in bed and he's coming in after her. Yeah,
but even when she's talking to like the Harker character after she's been like bitten or whatever, the way that she's acting is like especially in the Spanish version.
Yeah.
But it is kind of leaned that way. There is something there. I always kind of felt that.
Anyway.
But it's not obviously a little more blatant here and a little more obvious, but it's still not like it is now. Now it's just like there wouldn't be any subtlety to it whatsoever.
Right.
So Dave, what version of this movie do you have?
I would assume it's the American version because I don't see like what they talk about being extra in it.
Do you have like is there a 4K version?
There's not one, unfortunately. There's just that Blu-ray that I don't have. Yeah. That's a Warner Brothers archive Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But the reason I don't have it is because I'm waiting for the 4K. I'll get it when they put it out on 4K.
I'll definitely get the 4K on this. The one I've got is like HD quality that it was restored by a private company. And I don't think it was readily available. I mean, it was one I found through a collector.
Yours isn't the Warner Brothers archive one?
It's not the Warner Brothers archive one. No, I forgot the name. I should have written it down when I watched it today. But it was one that a group of people restored themselves.
Oh wow! I bet that does look good.
It looks really good. Yeah, I mean, I would have almost thought it was Blu-ray. I was running it through a 4K player. Which probably helped enhance it a little bit, but
it's on DVD though.
I've got it digitally right now.
Digital,
I bought it digitally.
The DVD, I didn't think it looked horrible. I could see it would be improved at Blu-ray or 4K.
DVD quality is fine, yeah.
But I haven't watched the DVD in a long time, but I didn't think it was horrible.
I think the only time I noticed, where I've got similar films in my collections, 4K versus DVD or whatever, is that sometimes if they use a lot of matte work on the older films, the 4K almost makes you realize it really is a matte, more so than maybe the DVD, because it's almost too good.
Right. I kind of feel like this one would look really good in 4K. I mean, even like there is some matte stuff going on.
Oh, I do, because I think the matte work in this is out. I mean, that's one thing Hammer does really, really well. Like the front of the castle and and some of that. I mean, there's a lot of matte work in there that just is beautiful.
Well, this is also it's a shot in Technicolor too. So
yes,
looks really good.
And that was something Hammer, since this is our first Hammer one. That's the one thing. This one was the first time that they shot one in color. Yeah, and then they continued it on, and it was really game changing in the industry to have a monster movie like this. That kind of color. I mean,
I think all of their films in general, especially these early ones, will look great in 4K because most of these such rich color to begin with. Which is lost on the DVD version I have. I could definitely tell it's not as high quality because I have the Warner Brothers 4 Dracula DVD.
Oh yeah, I've got that one too. That's not the one I watched though. I got it just by itself too, and it looks a little better. It's still DVD quality, but it's for it being DVD. I often would forget I was watching the DVD, but I could still see where. I know if you're watching it with the upgraded quality, you'd be able to see more detail throughout, and you'd also see the colors better. They'd pop out better. That's another thing about this film. I like there's not a lot of them, but the exterior night scenes actually looked like they were really shot exterior night.
Yeah, they did look like nights. Yeah, they looked like they were shot at night. It wasn't that either it's too much where you can't see anything, or but you can actually see the people, but you can't. It doesn't seem like it's being lit. Right. And again, I want to pay a nod to Jack Asher, who's the cinematographer, because he does just about all these films we're going to be talking about. He does such beautiful work, camera work on this, and their lighting people are great. And James Bernard, who does all the music. I mean, once I started watching Hammer films, all of a sudden that's how I started thinking about monsters of like vampires and Frankenstein stuff was from their music. And that's not to take away from some of the phenomenal musicians they had at Universal, but it was just another approach that was so good. I mean, James Bernard, and I always suspected as a kid that he did this, and when I finally got a film book that where he said, "Yes, I made the opening sequence of music to make it sound like you're saying Dracula, that dun dun dun, and as a kid, I always thought I was going crazy. I said, I'm just thinking, I'm just going nuts. But I know he really meant for that to happen, and people really heard that. And it was, and he does stuff like that in a lot of his other films, on those non-vampire films. So just got some of the best people in the world working on these films.
All right. So, guys, is there anything else we can talk about the Horror of Dracula? We're going to be talking about Dracula for a while. So, since there are, I think, 9 films in this franchise.
Yeah, I mean, you'll go all the way up into like 1973. I think the last one is Taste the Blood of Dracula, I think is. That's not the last. No, it's 7 Golden. I forgot about the 7 Golden Vampires.
Yeah, that's the last one. That's one of the first ones of them. I think I saw. It might have been the second one.
That was the last one I saw. I saw that one last year.
But the first time I saw it, I didn't watch the whole thing all the way through. But it's kind of like, what is going on with this?
It's a wild movie. It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool movie.
It does have Peter Cushing in it again, so that's good.
Peter Cushing brings it 125%, no matter what movie he's in.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts about this movie?
I think I got everything I had written down out. So.
Satanic Rites of Dracula. That's what I was trying to think of.
That's one of the last ones.
That was one of the last ones.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah, if you look at the way, like Peter Cushing's in the first 2 and the last 3, I think, and Christopher Lee kind of skips, I think, just one of them. He skips the Brides.
He skips the Brides of Dracula. That's the only one he missed. He was in all the rest.
Hey, that's what we're going to be talking about. All this.
Oh no, yeah, and Brides is I think a cut above all of their vampire films. I'll save that for when we do Brides.
It's going to be interesting. So for everyone listening to our show, what we like to do is we like to rate the movies after we've discussed and had our conversation about them. We do a scale in which we go from 1 to 5 stars, 1 being poor, 5 being absolutely amazing. I'm going to ask each of you where on the scale you fit Horror of Dracula. Dave, we're going to start with you first.
I'm going to put it at 3.5 stars.
Okay.
It's probably too low, but it does have some flaws but I do like the film. I think it's definitely one of the better of the Dracula films.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Jim?
I'm at a 4. I like a 4.
Okay. I'm at like a 3.5 because, like you, Dave, there are aspects of this film that I really fucking love, but then there's some of those things that where it's like, so I give it a 3.5. But I will say this: if you've never seen a Dracula film that does something a tad bit different than some of the other ones, this one is going to be one you should definitely check out. Mostly because the story aspects in regards to Van Helsing, he becomes the main character, and that is I wish more people would do that.
Yes,
cool.
Yeah,
they did it like
yeah. And I think Hammer films are weird in a way, like with people who are used to the way the pacing are in films today that might put them off a little bit. But once you start watching more of them, you may start to like them better, I think.
they're good storytellers.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten away from storytelling a little bit in contemporary films, and these guys do it right with good characters and good stories.
I will agree with you, Dave. I do think that the Hammer in general had this heyday for 25 years, 25, maybe 30 years.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take. And they were popular and they were putting out stuff that no one else was doing until they got, they were catching up with the current trends. And by the 70s, I think is when they were trying to catch up with the current trend.
Yeah, that's when Dracula AD 72 came out.
That whole time period there.
70s was definitely kind of
they
point,
struggled.
yeah.
They struggled in the 70s.
With the monster stuff. I think the 70s had they got out of that code era and suddenly they could do whatever they wanted to.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah.
But
depends on what your age was at the time, but yeah.
But for everyone listening, the purpose of our program is to help people kind of reevaluate these Hammer Studio films, not just the classic ones. And we're going to get into kind of where and how Hammer films came about, but with the more modern day ones, when we eventually get to those and see what Hammer actually is now. Just in general purposes, if you are very interested in Hammer and knowing more about Hammer, there are a plethora of books on the Hammer Studio horror films.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I have read a ton of them, and one day I might put a list together of all the ones I owned. That's how I got into Hammer. I was reading about them before I ever saw them. And I was so enamored by the stuff I read, I had to see these movies, as I wish or hope that you will as audience members as well. So I hope that you will stick with us as we go through the many different Hammer films, and they won't be in order. We will try and keep the Frankenstein, Mummy, and Dracula films. We're going to do those in order as much as possible.
Well, I was going to say this. This was the opposite of what Universal did, where the very first Universal, they put Dracula out first, and then Frankenstein, where they put out the Frankenstein first, and then Dracula. So,
but that's
true. And this one really did launch Hammer. I mean, up until this point, Hammer was just a little studio that was sort of trying to figure out where it was going. They'd done some sci-fi and stuff like that, and done some murder mystery stuff and all that stuff, but. This one they shot again for £80,000, which was about $110,000 American money, and it returned $25 million in the United States, and all of a sudden they're on the map.
Yeah.
Now they're a global company.
Yep.
After that.
And they revitalized Dracula.
Absolutely. Yeah, they absolutely did.
Or at the time, a modern day age.
Yes.
Unfortunately, nowadays, we have every type of Dracula there is.
You got that right.
Mankind. And Dracula, unfortunately, is a character that will never die in cinema.
That's true. He never will.
Someone always is redoing Dracula in some form or fashion every other year.
That's true.
So we hope that by listening to this, you will go back and check out what Hammer actually did. And we hope that you will stick with us as we go through all the many different versions of Hammer films, as we delve into not only the Frankenstein and Mummy films, but also getting into Plague of Zombies and the Gorgon. And there's so much there. So
awesome stuff.
Yeah, we really want you to stick with us. And even if you don't, we still have our Conversations in Horror regular podcast that comes out every week, where we just touch upon everything horror. Doesn't matter what decade, doesn't matter what subgenre. You can always check us out on that podcast as well. Just so that you know, this podcast will be every first and third Friday of the month. It is not a weekly podcast, so you don't think that we're skipping weeks when you check out for this. This is every first and third Friday of every month, so we hope you will join us. Also, make sure to check out our Conversations in Horror regular podcast, as well as our sister podcast, Conversations in For Color, which delves into comic books, manga, and graphic novels. That is on our Patreon supported page, so you do have to be a supporter or follower of our Patreon page to have access to that podcast. But we wish and hope that you love horror or will learn to love horror by listening to us talk about it. I want to thank you, Dave and Jim, for joining us for this episode. And I can't wait to discuss more of Dracula films with you, and in the case of some of the other films, any of the Hammer films that we have coming up. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment and Conversations in Hammer Studios Horror Films, we want to thank you so much and have a pleasant day. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.